All right, hello students, Art 1 and Art 2 students. Today this is a tutorial on how to shade in colored pencil. Specifically how it's going to be used in our two-point perspective room drawing. So I'm going to demonstrate with my colored pencil set. Right here I have about 72 different colors, but the basic amount you should have is at least 24 different colors, so that you have some primary colors, some secondary colors, and some tertiary colors, and maybe some pastel colors. So the more colored pencil you have, the more choices, the better it will be for you in this project. So a lot of you have gotten Crayola brand colored pencils, which we use at school. That is fine, but please do not get anything that is from the dollar store or anything like that, because they will have less pigment. So you want it doesn't matter what brand, as long as it is a good, decent brand. You could usually tell by the price range. Crayola sometimes is very, I believe you can get 100 pack for $15. So that's a great deal. So way before we went away for the holidays, I had mentioned that you needed them, and I have asked you to get them. Okay. So without further ado, we're going to get right into it. So this is what we'll do. We are going to color and shade. We're not just filling in with color, we are shading in color. And the first thing that you need to know about colored pencils is they are different from regular drawing pencils, okay? So you have a pencil looks like a regular pencil, and that has like a wooden barrel, but inside there is a rod of material that may be a mixture of pigment and wax and paraffin and all kinds of different minerals that is hard. Some colored pencils are a little softer, some a little harder. I prefer the slightly softer core pencils because they color a little bit more smoothly. So if you look up soft core colored pencils, they will come up, and they usually give you some nice results. So in here, in the colored area, is a mixture of pigments and waxes that form the the colored part of the colored pencil, and the rest is just wood. Okay, it's a wooden barrel here that this little piece goes into. So I'm going to get started, and you know what, I'm going to take a slightly different approach than before with our colored pencil drawing, so that it goes a little bit faster. I'm going to do the walls, the windows, and then do all the furniture and the fun stuff toward the end, okay? What I recommend with using colored pencil is you don't choose colored pencil if you want to get a drawing that's done really quickly. That is not the medium of choice, because in order to get a very rich buildup of color, and like I said, a buildup of beautiful rich color, you have to apply colored pencil in many sheer layers. You can't just press really hard down on the colored pencil tip and put down the color all at once. You have to put down into many hundreds and hundreds of layers normally. That's what colored pencil artists usually do. All right, so I'm going to decide to make this room into a very beautiful, relaxing, kind of blue-colored room. Okay, so I'm going to choose a Smyrna blue. I don't know why this is called Smyrna blue, but that's what Amazon Basics calls this. And I have an Amazon Basics color pencil set. And I'm going to make let's just say here the sun is on this side of the house, and the strongest light in this room is coming from this left-hand window right over here. Because usually the sun is coming through one side, is coming from one direction at a time as it travels across the sky. So the sunlight is also coming through the second window on the right, but it's not as strong. Okay, so let's just say And the window, the side of the wall that has the window that's emitting the most light is usually the darkest wall, because of course that light is bouncing on everything else except for the wall itself that the window is on. So what we're going to do is we can always go darker, but it's hard to go lighter and erase and adjust to make things lighter. Now there are different ways of erasing colored pencils, but normally if you just have a regular eraser, it's going to leave a colored stain. Okay, like it's going to leave some of that color behind. So I'm going to start right here on the very right side, right up against the center line for our 2-point perspective, and very, very lightly put down my light blue. So feel free to fast forward if you want, because like I said, the process of using colored pencils is a very, very gradual one, because of the sheer amount of layers that you should produce to build up the color on a nice, rich colored pencil drawing. Most of my students' colored pencil drawings over the years, I've observed one thing about them, which is that they are very, very pale, and they looked unfinished because of the actual lack of colored pencil on them. They don't use enough colored pencil. So I'm just going to turn the paper so it's comfortable for me, and I'm going to press just a tiny bit harder on the tip of my colored pencil. Now for demonstration purposes, I think I'm going to do a very, decent job of showing you how to do colored pencil, but I may not put as many layers as I would want to if I was doing this for just to create a nice piece for myself, and it wasn't just like a demonstration piece, because that could literally take, it could take days actually to build up those layers. So you don't want to do this at the last minute or the night before. That's what I'm saying, because it ain't happening. You need to start a couple days before this is due. Okay. So as I go outward toward the left side where I have this dresser, I'm going to press lighter and put less layers of colored pencil down. Now I have attached this, I have attached this drawing to the shaded value study assignment, but I will also attach a copy of this line drawing to the colored pencil assignment, so that you may just print this out and use this to demonstrate your learning of colored pencil shading techniques. Okay? Or what you could do is use one of your perspective drawings and either color in the 2-point perspective, or color in the 1-point perspective if you've already colored in the 2-point perspective with just black and white shading. So you could shade in your own work as well. And some of you may want to do that to give a more finished look to your assignments, your previous assignments. It's totally okay to use your previous drawings. I encourage you to do that instead of just using mine. These are also here just in case you just didn't want to do that for some reason, or you something happened to your original 1 or 2-point perspectives. Hopefully you took pictures of them to at least put up, submit the work for the line drawing portion. Okay? It's because if you didn't, then you'll have to redo those assignments if somebody came along and destroyed your work. All right, so I am also kind of going up and down with my pencil, going vertically and scribbling vertically, light layers of this blue on here. All right. Now I'm going to do this wall right here on the other side. So I'm just putting down this one color. I will go and put down other colors against this wall as well. To create a sense of contrast and a change in angle from this wall to this wall, there's going to be like a 45-degree angle here, right? Oh, hold on. No, that's not right. There's going to definitely be a 90-degree angle, I should say. So this has got to be lighter or darker. If this is going to be the darker wall here on the left, I'm going to make this lighter here. But as you've seen over here, I shaded from dark to light, or basically more intense light blue color to very faint light blue color here. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. More intense blue to a light paler blue, so that the pale blue is right next to the more intense blue. Okay? When you have two surfaces that are at different angles that meet together at an edge, you have to have one side be darker than the other, like in a dramatic way, to show how light is picked up differently from the two different angled surfaces. One will pick up more light, the other will not pick up as much light. Okay, so what we're trying to do is shade the inside of this two-point perspective room, and a two-point perspective room is always seen with the corner kind of in the middle. We're looking at everything from the corner, the bed, the trunk, this piece of furniture. You know how the closest thing to us, the viewer, is the corner, this middle corner here. That's what makes this a two-point perspective drawing, because we're seeing everything from the corner angle. So as we come toward here, we're going to get lighter. And we're like, this room is almost like shading the cube, right? It's basically the same thing, except we're inside the cube now. Okay, and we're trying to say that we are part of this scene, and we're looking at this corner here, this far corner, and all the furniture between us and that corner. And just color right to the edge of the paper. Please don't leave any like little white halos or blank spaces. Just color right to the edge of the paper. Okay, and then as you go toward the corner, add a little less pressure, and color underneath these curtains here, because that light blue would be there as well. And what we'll do is we will use colored pencil to shade some sheer curtains, curtains that we can see through. Like we'll be able to see that blue color under the curtains here. So make sure you throw some of that blue color under the curtains and around the outside of the window frame, like the trim here. Don't color in the trim, but color around that because that's a part of the wall. When you get to this little tubular steel or aluminum bed, I want you to make sure you sneak a little light blue in between the little curly cues here that make up the metal tubular scrolls on this bed. They're called scrolls. And make sure that you shade in the wall color in there as well. It should not be left white. Okay? Okay. I want you to do something right now with me, which is let's just color in the sky that we're looking at through the window. So since we have the light blue in our hand, let's go ahead and do that. Now we need to figure out what part is the opening of the window. So right here, all around the window, on the top of the window opening is the trim, and then we have the inside edge of the window, and then all the way on the inside here is this little smaller rectangle, which is the actual opening to the window. So I want you to make it look like there's a beautiful bright blue sky. I want you to make the color a little bit more intense by pressing a little harder with the colored pencil for the top of the sky. And as you go kind of down here, down the length of the window to the bottom of the window opening, make sure that you just apply a little color right over the area, open area of the window, even if it has that window screening that we drew, those crisscrossing lines. Make sure that you color, you know, I just want to make sure that you color in there as well and in between the scrolls. Okay. And as you go down, press a little lighter. You know why? Because the sky, if you ever went outside and looked at the blue sky, it's a lot more blue at the top. Because the closer to the horizon that you get, that's where the sky meets the land, the more there's more atmospheric perspective, meaning there's more like water vapor, there's more fog, there's more pollution in the air, which makes that blue a little less intense. So make that blue a little bit more intense at the top when you are using your colored pencil. And let's figure out where the opening is for this window over here on the left. And I see that this area right here is it. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to just put the shading in for the sky and just going to make it a little bit more intense at the top. And as I come down, I'm going to make it a little less intense by pressing less hard on my colored pencil tip. Okay. Just so it's a little bit lighter, kind of a lighter whitish blue, little bit lighter blue, a little bit darker up here, a little bit more intense. I'm pressing harder. There we go. And that kind of dark at the top and light at the bottom also kind of helps to suggest perspective, you know, the height of the sky. And if it's higher, if this blue is higher up in the sky, people will know that because of the intensity of color. Okay, so it gives the sky a little bit more depth. Okay? All right. So now let's go ahead and shade the ceiling. So I'm going to pick, most people do shade their ceilings white. In fact, you could buy something that's called ceiling paint, and it happens to be a shade of white. And there's many, many different types of white. A little bit more cream, a little bit cooler, very, very like almost like a light gray, almost imperceptible. But you have to know that when you are shading or representing white, it will always be gray. There is no leaving this white. Okay, you must only reserve the use of white for the strongest highlights on a white object or on an object. That's going to be like the sun just glaring on an object, or a really, really white light reflection on an object. You have to save the white just for those kinds of occasions. So I need to find a really light gray, and I'm going to use something called light gray. This is called light gray. So I'm going to use that for my ceiling, and this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to make things darker right here at this corner, and as I go out, I'm going to make the gray a little darker. So darker to lighter, and lighter as I approach the top of this corner. So can we do that? And also, I'm going to just make that a little darker with my pencil. Don't forget to leave that, you know, alone. We might make that trim a different color. Who knows? So we're going to go from dark up here to a lighter gray. How about we go to a lighter gray as we approach these two lines right over here. So dark to light, okay? So dark up here and then to light. Let's just do that. A change in value where when you go from dark to light or light to dark shows distance. So it shows that you're crossing over a distance, and the light is changing from one location to another. So it's basically implying that the light is hitting different locations here differently. That's implying distances being crossed and perspective. That this is not a flat drawing, that this is like a three-dimensional space. I know it's not. I know it's an imaginary room, but we're creating, as an artist, we're creating an illusion. We're trying to create a convincing depiction of a three-dimensional room. And I'm going to avoid coloring in this little thing here, which is my ceiling light, because every room should have a light source or two. So we have the windows here, we have a lamp on this nightstand, and we have the light fixture on the ceiling for this room. So you might say, well, where's the switch for this light? So it would be behind us, so it would not show up in the picture. Let's say we just entered this room, and if we don't see the entrance to this room, then obviously it's going to be behind us. So when you just get into the room, you know, the light switch is usually right there next to the doorway, so you can turn it on, and so you're not fumbling in the dark, right? Right. So we're going to do a light to dark fade basically, but we're just kind of putting down our initial very, very light coat of color for the ceiling, the walls, the big stuff, and the outside, you know, the sky right there. What I want to show is that the ceiling is a flat thing that is stretching from left to right into the corner, and it's a horizontal surface, it's a flat surface above my head. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, since this is a very light gray, I'm going to put some of this down here where I needed to get a little lighter, and put a even darker gray value and layer it on top where I want the light gray to be a little bit darker. So I'm going to find a little darker value, and I found one. It's called silver gray, and you can see how dark that is. And let me just grab a little scrap of paper. So here's a silver gray here, and here's a light gray here. So while you're working on your colored pencil drawings, get a little extra scrap of white paper, not a color piece of paper, just so that you can test out colors to see if a color would, you know, represent a darker version of a color nicely. That it's, if this light gray is a warm, because some colors can be warmer or cooler than others. If this is a warm light gray, make sure that you pick a warm dark gray as its shaded version or a darker version of that color. You don't want to go from a softer light color, a warmer light color, to a cooler darker color, because they're not going to really match very well, and they're not going to look like they kind of relate to each other very well as much as if you keep them both warm. There's warmer grays and there's cooler grays. There's warmer colors and then there's cooler colors. So at the top here, I'm going to use this silver gray, which is still a warm kind of, I don't want to say a yellowish gray, but it has a kind of warm feeling where I feel like it's soft. It's a soft light feeling to that gray color. It's not like the kind of gray I might use to shade in something that is like stainless steel. I might use a cooler gray to color in a stainless steel refrigerator or something like that that might be in a drawing if I was to draw a kitchen. So I just want to give a little bit of depth to the ceiling. Now, if you were following along in class and you are done your colored pencil drawing, you don't have to watch this video and you don't have to do another colored pencil drawing because you were doing what you had to do and you were using class time and following right along with me. The only reason why you would be watching this is for further enrichment, or if I lost you at some point and you were getting far behind and then you couldn't catch up to where we were at the end, you couldn't keep up the pace, that's fine. You could work at your own pace, but you could watch the video to catch up and get to the end. Or if you were late, or if you were absent. These videos are good if you were out for a day or even more. That way you can still get the instruction you missed. Okay, so we have a dark to light thing going on right there. All right.